I don't know what to tell you. I think I'm done. I think I'm done talking. Because I can explain all this to you, but it's up to you if you get it, right? And if you do get it, now that I'm dedicated on closure, what are you expecting me to do? And growing in progress. Isn't that what you wanted from me? And so now that I am doing that, what do you expect me to do if you get it? Am I supposed to change my mind again? Weren't you just saying changing my mind was the reason? And so, oh, yeah, you're right now. I understand. And now this time is right. And this is the time. And this is true. And I'm supposed to believe it, right? When you didn't really come to this conclusion on your own. Granted, I am a firm believer that once we pick something up, it's all an individual choice. So I can explain it to you. It's up to you if you get it, it's up to you if you don't. That's also very true. But of course, and kind of like forgiving you without you saying sorry and whatnot. What do you expect from me? If you'll boast about what you did, if you'll boast about how I'm too loyal to you and I forgive you when I shouldn't, then are you then saying I shouldn't forgive you and you're not worth forgiving? And then if that's the case, then that's your own self guilt and I can't make you feel otherwise. Or were you boasting about it because you thought it was a cool thing? And then wouldn't this be the same case? Me bringing you to a conclusion that you didn't come to on your own, and then you expecting me to forgive you based on this when obviously you haven't changed? Wouldn't I then just be making the same mistake? Imagine your daughter in this position. And what is she supposed to do? And that's the man she loves. Imagine you in this position, and this is the woman you love. What would you do? Just leave her? Because then that lets me know you're a leaver. Or try because you love her. And you realize that there's potential in this person and you're rooting for them to change. And so that's why you're explaining it to them. But every time you give them the benefit of the doubt, instead of them seeing it as mercy or a kindness, they just see it as another moment that they checkmated you and took advantage of you. And then how would you be able to trust that any decision you make with them isn't something they've orchestrated? How would you feel secure with them? And if you can never feel secure with them, then how can you be the best you can be when you're always anxious with them because you know that they're not a trustworthy person? And so I don't want you to be able to, like I said, think that, oh, you're just free. You got to get out of jail free card because your actions are still your character and that's still who you are. And so if you see it as a get out of jail free card, then you'll never change because you'll never think your actions were wrong. And I wouldn't love you if I didn't protect you from even yourself, right? I think that's what love is protecting sometimes people from themselves. And self love is not protecting people from themselves at the cost of yourself, right? I can't control if someone tries to shoot you or stab you and I jump in front of it for you because that's their actions and I love you and I'm protecting you. But when it's yourself doing that to yourself or to that person, then I can walk away. And wouldn't you feel that that person has the right to walk away if they really want what's best for themselves and that's what you claim you want for them too? So then you're admitting you know that you're not the man that I deserve. And so you can't blame it on me. And that's still not an excuse as to why you don't try to become the man I deserve. That's still you just being cowardice and sleeping around and doing what you want and expecting me to be okay with that. And that's why the closure is needed. Because I think I deserve more than that. And if you love me, wouldn't you think that too? And if you cared about me, wouldn't you think that too? And not even love, but literally just caring. Because you wouldn't want our daughter or your daughter to sleep with a man who doesn't care for her unless you feel like that's okay for her to do. And then once again, you are definitely a man I shouldn't have kids with. And I have every right to feel that way. So that's what I meant when I said, you don't want to have kids with me for certain reasons, and I don't want to have kids with you for certain reasons. Except the reasons you don't want to have kids with me is rooted in a system that made people just like you. Meanwhile, I'm actually looking at your moral character, and that's why I don't want to have kids with you. And now I have a different outlook on children altogether. You know, that's a different thing, but okay. I'm done with my cigar. Time to go eat my fries. So when you go around saying, "Oh, she's just so obsessed and she can't get over the fact that I didn't choose her and this and that," that's not something to praise about because it shows that you still don't understand that woman, and it shows she has every right to be trying to progress and move on. And you saying that you want to have a sit down with a woman that you feel like isn't grown, isn't progressing, doesn't have any potential, why would we ever one day talk? Why would you reach out to that person if you don't see any potential in that person? And if you do see potential in that person, why aren't you helping them reach it now? Your own hypocrisy is why I don't feel secure with you. And I am at a point where I am too dedicated on wanting certain things for myself that I cannot continue to let this situation with you affect that and the job I have and what I do and what I'm trying to do for myself. hmm hmm And they are pretty long, all of these, but if you really were one day planning on having this conversation, what are you gonna do? Yeah, we should have a conversation and you should tell me exactly how you feel. You can be open, you can be as transparent as you want, but keep it cute, keep it short, keep it sweet, because I don't want to hear all of that. Then how would I feel like that conversation actually is going to allow me to show up to the table as myself? If there's certain guidelines and boundaries and time caps and things like that. How am I supposed to feel like I can fully be vulnerable? And then that means you aren't ready. And now that's not a me thing, that's you. And so you can no longer use that excuse as to why you're doing what you're doing. That's it. hmm hmm So I needed to get that out. So as I make this decision, I know that I was transparent. I told you everything. You knew everything. And that wasn't the case. But now you may hear this and have a different prospect. However, how many times will you hear my side and realize I'm right before you realize that she doesn't actually just make decisions that are not thought through, and she doesn't actually just, who's that? And that she doesn't actually just, how do I say, not know what she wants. Because it seems like she knows pretty well to me. And the thing is, she just doesn't want you right now because of who you are. And as I've explained, all of these reasons are why, and they're very valid. And if she's trying, but you're not trying with her because you don't want to, then say it's just because I'm not ready to be the man she wants me to be. And if that's the case, then you can't blame me for not being the woman you don't want me to be, but yet putting a timeline on me. Because then that's hypocrisy. And once again, it shows that you don't understand other people's perspective and you don't understand my perspective. And so you're still the same man with the same harmful thought process that put us in this situation to begin with. And how will I grow if I keep interacting with that? Right? How will I be able to heal and progress and continuously move on if I keep interacting with that? Unless you are asking me to wait until you become that man. And then what would you tell our daughter? If a man says, hey, can you wait until I'm done sleeping around? Because it's not like you're trying to become that man. You're not going to find that man between the legs of another woman. You're with you every day, every second of every day, everywhere you go. You're with that man all the time. You're not going to find him anywhere else. So, hey, I'm trying to get better for you. Will you wait? And then you see him sleeping around town. What would you then go home and tell your daughter? Oh, yeah, he's out there. He's really trying. Any day now, he'll be here and show up for you the way you ask. I'm sure of it. He's very dedicated. He's not doing anything else but trying. Or would you be like, hey, that's the dude who said he was trying for my daughter. Why is he with all those other women? And why are you expecting someone else's daughter not to feel that same way about themselves? And if you aren't mature enough to still see that, then once again, I have a right to not feel safe and secure with you. And if that's going to cause my anxiety to mess up, if that's going to cause me to feel anxious, and like I said, based on comments you made, threatened, because you still are the person who made those threats, then do I not have a right to self preserve and stay away? And so maybe she's not as decisive. Maybe she's trying to choose herself. And at that point, that means she's trying. And now it's you who isn't trying. hmm hmm So if you're going to tell the story, make sure you tell it all. And that's why I wanted to make it like this, because since you show people my page anyway, everybody will be able to have access to it. And it won't be just what you said. So you won't be able to just feel like you got away. This is my fucking YouTube. I decide when the video is put up and taken down and this, that, and the third. So there you go. So now you can't go around town telling people that that's what happened, because that's not what happened. You're just a liar. And you're just looking for any excuse not to be with me. And if that's the case, stop blaming that fucking poor woman. She ain't did shit to you. Except what she did do. And she's tried to make up for that ever since. So stop blaming that woman and lying on that woman. And just say you aren't ready to be a man. But then if that's the case, don't go around acting like you're the best man there is. Because obviously you're not. And once again, if I love you, I have to show you the truth of yourself. And I think you did that a couple of times. And I was like, oh wow, he really is pointing stuff out. But I have to ask myself, if you can't show me love anywhere else and you're just pointing out my faults, do you actually want me to progress? Is that why you pointed out my faults? Because you actually want me to progress? And the difference is, once again, someone who points out your faults and then tries to help you and support you as you transform and work on those things, versus someone who just keeps pointing them out and then leaving. So, uh-huh, uh-huh. That's my closure. That's my peace. And now I do have to start the grieving all over again and the healing all over. Not the healing, but the grieving for sure. That the last thing I know of you is that you were this person. And I just have to hope you won't be this person tomorrow or next week or in the next few months or for the next 30 years who continues to make decisions he thinks are right, but only digs him deeper into a hole. Because as the man I love, and I've said it multiple times now, I do not want that for you. But you have to not want it for yourself first. But I can't keep holding on and just trying to protect you from everything, like I said, including yourself, and you just keep doing the same thing. I have to move on and accept that one day you may change. And like I said, you may see that, feel like you're in the same boat. Oh, well, I'm moving on because this, that, and the third. A diet, like I said, takes time. An exercise regimen takes time. If your body isn't used to doing something, it needs more rest as it starts to do something different. Because now it's like, hey, what's wrong? We've never done this before. What's going on? And it gets shaken. And so it says something's wrong. We need to rest. We need to reset. We need to figure out what's going on. And so your body needs more rest as you build new habits until it gets comfortable in those habits, and you need less and less rest. And then more and more discipline comes in. And that takes time. Buying new things, getting new things, saving for new things takes time because checks only come every 2 fucking weeks. And you can't give me 2 years if you won't even know if I'll be in that job in 2 years. And I wasn't. Granted, I have another job now, but not having a job mean I had to use savings, I had to use some stuff I had stocked, and now I have to rebuild all that up. And not only that, you can say, oh, well, it's because you smoke. No, I've smoked forever and it's never affected me. I smoked the whole time and it never affected me. It only ever affected me when you put me in a stressful situation. I smoke now and everything's beautiful and gravy and fine and the fucking birds are chirping every day and the fucking crickets are doing what they do on spring and summer nights. You hear them. Everything is better. But it's only you who stresses me and makes all of that just harder to believe is true. And I had to start to realize you were fine in your routine, and not really your routine, but and yeah, who you were becoming even while you were smoking before you met this man. And now you're listening to him tell you about yourself, and he does not even realize what he's doing himself. And you have to stop listening to a hypocritical, cowardice ass kid. And I say kid not in a disrespectful way, but I think until we all mature and heal in a certain way, we are still children. And even I'm still a child, really, in my mind, because I'll never, not be the little, girl I was. That's just me. But I no longer have to act like that childish, naive, immature little girl either. She can grow into something different. And so until you grow into something different, you're still the childish, naive, irrational, little kid that you probably once were too. And so you have to realize that man can now be different, or that kid can now be different. I'm a woman, but I am still a little girl. You will be a man, but you'll still always be a little boy who grew into a man. But you have to actually do the growing into to become that thing. So you can't put 2 years on things that involve money because you never know how money's gonna go. You never know how jobs are gonna go. And definitely if you have already traumatized this person, you don't even know if how far they are in their healing journey to give them 2 years. What if they're only 2 months in? And now you're like, yeah, 2 years. You don't know if it would have took them 3 years, 4 years, 10 years, 6 years. You don't know how long it would take them. And for you to just slap a sticker on it and say, no, this is how long it's going to take is to me basically saying, I know I hurt you, but this is how long you have to get over it before I'm done with your ass. And you can't do that, especially if you're still showing the same actions. It would be different if you were showing different actions. Because I can then say, hey, you're holding me to an account of someone I am not anymore. But that's not what was happening. You were still watching me all the time. You were still lying all the time. You were still not communicating all the time. You were still plotting and sending people all the time. You were still having conversations and surrounding yourself with untrustworthy people all the time. And once again, if we have kids together, now I have to think if I'm off somewhere and you have them, are you surrounding themselves with people who are untrustworthy, people who are unkind, people who are unempathetic? Will my daughter make a mistake? Will my son make a mistake? And now everyone is laughing at them. Everyone is being harsh on them instead of pulling them to the side and speaking with them and guiding them and caring for them and nurturing them. But that's the people you choose to surround yourself with. And I have a right and a maternal instinct to not want to put my babies in that situation. And the fact that you don't is a problem for me. And so if you're still doing that, then no, there is no change. And then if you're still invalidating my response to your action and negating the fact that I'm still healing and processing, then no, you have not changed. And if you're putting a time limit on it, as if you have a right to my healing after what you did, you have not changed. And instead of trying to build and become better, In the meantime, so when this person may be ready to come back to you, which they said they would be, they just needed time, but instead you take that time to sleep around also because they may not know about it or they may never find out, then no, you have not changed. Oh, the horses. And that was back in September. October was quiet. I was minding my business, healing, and deciding to not do anything with you. And so I had to grieve. I was just trauma all over the place. And then November, December, January, February. Well, I guess we can say November and December. In January, I was taking so much time healing, and it was beautiful, and it's been beautiful. February, I got a job. It was going fine. Like I said, I felt your presence, you know, on that person, and that shook some things, but nothing was actually happening major. It was fine. So I was like, you know what? I can calm down. This seems different. I may just be tripping. Like, just calm down, breathe, regulate. But there's too many consistencies now that is showing signs of the same behavior, the same triggering situation, and the fact that I'm trying to heal from that. What am I supposed to do? Quit this job? No. For what? And hope I find another one? I can apply for other jobs, sure. But I still have to stay here until they don't until they answer. And I can't control when that will be. Who knows how long that will be? So either way, I have to learn to be in this situation the best that I can. And that means knowing that I'm choosing something different than what's being offered to me, no matter what is being offered and how many times it's offered. And that takes making a final decision and not going back on it. And like I said, I think my hardest thing was knowing that if I did that, I would leave you to your own ignorance and foolishness. And it'll cause me to worry. But would I rather worry, you know, a few nights and days for the rest of my life over the years, but still heal and make progress and know I'm no longer around this unsafe person? Or do I be in a situation where I'll always have to worry every single day, every single night when I come home, every single moment I'm away with you and you have the kids, every single time you walk out that door and say I'm going to work, but you could be going to a bitch's house? Am I going to be worried for the rest of my life? Every day, all day, 24/7. And then if I do decide to leave and this person is threatening to kill someone, will my family have to end up, viewing my casket? Or will this person try to take my children away from me if that happens because he's shown evil intentions before? He's shown manipulative intentions before. He's shown hurting me or kicking me when I was down before. Would he take that moment to try to do the same thing and use my kids as leverage? I would have to worry about that for the rest of my life. And now it's about, like I said, self-preservation and giving myself the most beautiful life I can with the least amount of suffering as I can, because there's already enough suffering in the world. Why would I give myself more? Why would I choose it for myself? And so that's the mindset I have and I'm in. And no, that doesn't excuse you sleeping around this whole time. Sorry, it doesn't. So if you're gonna tell everyone, tell them that. But since I don't trust you to do that, why not just tell it myself and leave it at that? And like I said, at the same time, two birds, multiple stones, whatever you want to call it, multiple birds, multiple stones. At the same time, I am now, oh, he's back in. I am now also letting you know for whenever you do come to that moment in the future where you realize what happened and what it cost, even on that day, I don't wish you more pain than you have to endure. By knowing you made mistakes and you did not know. And yes, she did try to tell you. Yes, if you would have just listened. But that's not what happened. But that doesn't mean that you still can't change and be a better man and change and still try to stop other men from being that way or other young women around you from choosing things because they don't know any better at that time. It does not mean that you still can't become that man I envisioned, but more stable and eventually listen to the words that were given to you because I still want that for you regardless, whether we're together or not. I'm recording, so don't say anything crazy. You said you were going to the store. Do you hear me?
I did go to the store.
Is that Whataburger?
Oops.
What is that?
Yeah, it's first.
Ah, so there's that. Panda Express, very interesting. Thank God. Oh my God, I was so worried. I'm so glad that actually came up because now that's another fucking thing. Another thing is the ads. The way I knew you were watching me is because there's ads. And the algorithm at that time, our phones were always pinging off the same tower. And so I think sometimes the algorithm does that to try to. Oh shit, my laptop's about to go dead. Hold on. I think the algorithm does that because it's trying to, say, is it one or two? Oh, okay. Um, hey, you may know these people or you may like this thing because a lot of people around you like this thing and it shows because of the cell tower. And so when I would see certain ads after it all went down, I used to wonder like, is he purposely like putting these ads here because he knows now that I can like tell because of the ads? And I was like, or am I just being paranoid? And so after you told me like, oh no, you're just being paranoid, that's not what happened, yada yada yada. I had to even calm myself down from moments I would think like that. Like, girl, why would he do that? And I had to tell myself, girl, I don't know, why would he read a book about fucking manipulating women? Why would he, try to manipulate a person? Why would he lie to a person? Why would he, stalk and watch a person and then act like he fucking hates them every day? Like, why did he do anything he did? And I was like, okay, but you have no proof, so you got to calm down. And I was like, yeah, but what if that's actually what's happening and I'm not preparing? And so it was a constant back and forth. And I was constantly dysregulated. And it took being able to even get through all of that before I could heal. And so for you to slap 2 years on something and you can't even begin to think of what I was possibly going through, it was just a different level of disrespect for me. And it just set everything back like months and years. And oh, now I have to just figure out if I'm going to be done or not or what. So I feel like I might as well should have gone ahead and posted the ones I was going to post earlier. Because these are almost just as fucking long. That's, um, I was going to say something smells like cologne, but that's actually marijuana. It smells like one of mine. So now I see why my job sometimes says I smell like weed. It'd be the damn cologne. I mean, sometimes it could be weed, but okay, perfect. Oh, what is this? What the fuck? Um, what is? Why does this feel wet? Is it cold? Is one of these waters leaking or something? Oh, okay, okay, I know. How soon we forget. Um, I kind of have a fry stuck in my chest. You know, like when your food like slowly goes down and you're like, yeah, this is definitely it for me type shit. Kind of feels like that. Because you're afraid like it's gonna get stuck or lodged in there, and so I'm just hoping it goes down. But you can't drink because you're just like you're afraid if you drink something, it'll just like clog it up even more. Yeah, that's kind of the moment. Um, so I think anybody who is like, oh yeah, you're definitely valid and all this and all that, they are still just as worse as you are, and they're only hyping you up to continue to be worse because they don't yet understand the depth of how someone can love and feel. And that's who you choose to surround yourself with. And that's why I worry about you. Because that means they don't understand that type of love. And so they can't possibly give it to you. And so they'll never be able to fully consider you because they can't fully consider someone else. So I think that's, like I said, pretty much it. I really don't know what you want from me. Um, but as I went over it over the years, I realized you're probably never going to be honest and tell me either. Because all the things you have said you wanted, I've tried and I've strived for it and I continue to do so because I wanted those things for myself. I always wanted to be healthy. I always wanted to exercise. I always wanted to save for my dreams and different things. Like, I always had that mind for myself as an individual, no matter what. But I think you seeing my predicament and my life at the time made you think, oh no, she's just another bummy black person. And that wasn't the case. But by that time, I was depressed and I was dysregulated. And so it did make it hard for me to show up as I usually do. Um, and once again, you failed to consider that. And so I cannot feel safe with someone like that. And now, if I am to make sure I do get those things, because it's up to you to decide if you're going to get something no matter what and cut out anything that prevents that. And so, like I said, I can't be dysregulated at my fucking job because you refuse to consider me because I can't do it as like that. I can't. And so I'm an individual first. I was before I met you. I was during you. I have to be after you, whether we're together for 60 years, 70 years, whatever. One of us we're together until one of us fucking die. Death do us part, right? I would still have to think about how I would survive without you. And that means I have to be able to show up stable and competently as an individual, as well as it helps with my anxiety to know that. And if you're if you're the blockade or speed bump to that progress, if I love myself and I'm dedicated on getting to where I want to go, I have to remove it. I do. So it's not that I couldn't do that. I just didn't want this for you. I still don't. But at the same time, I can't destroy myself in the process. And like I said, if this was your daughter and you heard all of this, would you think she was right in telling the man who did these things to her these words? Would you feel she was right? And if so, why would I not be right? And if I am right, then once again, your actions are inexcusable. And you know that. And I can no longer hold on and be destroyed because you failed to admit that. Period.